Welcome to the Life with Joey Calvo Podcast. I'm Joey Calvo. Before we get started, please reach out to those those victims of the California wildfires. They do still need our help rebuilding their lives after everything that happened to them. So any help can be appreciated. I also have a GoFundMe page going on right now for this podcast to upgrade and expand it in many ways, including television, possibly radio, etc. So the link is in the video description at the bottom. So today we have Jaymes Buckman. He is a non-binary, neurodivergent, glam rock singer and poet with a bit of dabbling in acting and modeling. So, Jaymes, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
And so, explain how this all happened.
Basically, kind of the way life happens. I just had this kind of instinct, basically from as early as I was able to think, maybe even a bit before that, that I needed to be somehow performing on stage, on camera, somehow, some way, and eventually singing kind of seemed to be the thing that like sat best like right in the core of me. I enjoy all kinds of performing, but that's the thing where it feels like the purest form of self-expression to me. Like I am writing the words that are coming out of my mouth, and I get to decide what my body's doing while I'm doing it. I get to be involved in what music is going on behind me while I'm doing it. So yeah, it just seemed like the most like direct line to my soul in terms of all the arts I could have chosen to focus on.
Okay. And when and in reference to the non-binary, when did you see that that you associate yourself as a non-binary? I mean, I understand it's a new terminology coming out in reference to being with Pride Month that we're in now. Philadelphia just had their Pride Parade on Sunday. So, yes, we actually have a what they call, and please don't be offended, folks. Okay, this is how they labeled it. I did not label it. They have a neighborhood between 11th and 13th between Walnut and Locust. Okay.
We have one of those too. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But so they just had their parade on this past Sunday. And but when did you feel that you were where you're at now in reference to orientation?
So the non-binary thing was like kind of by default, like basically as far as I can remember, gender was like never really something I like felt intimately or really like perceived in, I guess, the way I hear a lot of other people kind of discuss it. It never seemed to be a sort of dimension I was like completely attuned to. I just always, felt like Jaymes and left everything else up to interpretation. And I will say there was a point when I was about 8 and first developing some self-awareness where the way gender was framed to me kind of bothered me. It was like I was sent to an all-boys school for the first time, and so all these like more like masculine kids around me were like telling me I was like bad at being a boy, and I was like, they by their own standards they're right. But then I kind of realized but I don't have to like those standards don't make sense to me, so I don't have to live by them. I'm just Jaymes, and everything else is open to interpretation. Okay. And so yeah, I don't kind of feel like tied to any particular gender to the exclusion of others. I feel like anything and whatever people want to attach to that is fine by me. Like I take any pronouns, like, it's all good with me. But I guess a few years ago, probably around I think that 2018 is when I started to notice that like even like people not in the queer community were starting to understand, at least have an inkling of like what non-binary was, so I could just like say that and not have to go on this whole like screed about like my gender identity. I could just say non-binary, and I kind of like it's shorthand, but I'm always willing to get into discussion if people want to have that discussion. But as an autistic person, it's very common where people ask me a question and then I talk for like 10 minutes at least.
Okay. So yeah, like I said, the reason why I bring that up is within personal experience. Okay. I have a friend, actually. Yeah, I had a friend I grew up with, and over the years, everything was normal, like a normal male friendship. And we both had gotten married, and I wound up being separated before he did. But that was because my ex cheated, and of course went a different direction. I'm not saying she went lesbian. She just cheated on me with other guys. But my friend, when he got divorced, and I still do talk to his ex-wife, he literally turned around to me and realized that he was gay. Just out of the blue, realized he was gay. And I'm like, okay. And, I accepted it because, he's been my friend. We've known each other so long. I'm not going to turn around and condemn, this choice that he made. All I could do is be there and say, hey, if this is what you're going to do, I'll be there the best I can, So, and he's had some rocky relationships since announcing that. But he is, and like I said, all I can do is be proud of him for the choice that he makes for it. I don't know if it was hard on you when the close people that were around you noticed this. How in reference to like how I just explained it about my friend.
So yeah, you sound like a really good friend. Yeah. So the thing about me is that there are a lot of weird things about me that people like notice pretty fast. And so by the time people have gotten around to noticing like my sexuality or whatever, like they've already accepted me for who I am. And like, that's not going to really move the needle at all. Like I've had friends since I was a kid, before any of us were even thinking about dating, friends I met when I was like, 8 or 9. And like, even then I was like a weird, like crazy person, and they accepted me and we were like good friends, with all of that. And so when they started noticing other things about me, or when like more stuff developed, like they didn't really care. They were just like very accepting people. So I've been very lucky. I live in a big city. I'm in Toronto, and at least like the parts I've lived in, it's like lots of diversity, lots of just like accept people for who they are. So of the things I've faced, I guess discrimination or kind of ostracization for over the course of my life, I've never, or at least very, very rarely, felt like any of my queerness affected that. And I'm very like thankful to have of the community I do have around me.
Okay. Another thing I want to present, and again, folks, do not be offended for what I'm going to say, because this was something I was questioning in my life a long time ago. So please do not be offended if it feels like I'm putting down or offending the LGBTQ, like I said, this was a question of my judgment of my life a long time ago. So a long time ago, I'm going to say about 30 years ago. About 30. Yeah. I was, of course, not in a relationship. And I kind of questioned my own judgment of, could I be? So I went into there was a gay bar down the street from where I grew up. And I just, one night, just walked in just to see, what would happen. And I didn't get picked up, or, nobody came up to me and, try to flirt or anything. So I guess I realized that it wasn't right for me. So I had another friend, and we were up in Hoboken, New Jersey, because I grew up in New Jersey. And up in Hoboken, we went to this one place with a bisexual woman. And, of course, I drove. I had no choice in reference to it. So I walked in and, again, questioning if anything would happen. And I, sat and had my drink, and nothing really happened. And for what I'm going to say now, please don't be offended, because it at the time that this happened, it was interesting. So the friend I was with, I'm sitting right across the way from him, and somebody comes up to him and hits on him. And when he realizes that that the person was trans, flipped out. I'm sitting there, and I'm sorry to say I laughed, but it was not because of the person. It was how he reacted about this happening. So it was interesting for this to happen. I mean, we were both interested in the bi. Okay. I mean, we were both interested in the bi. And I mean, she was all around, and who knows where, but at the end, we all went back, and I was working at a newspaper at the time, so I had to get back to go to work. So I couldn't really drink. So we got back, and I did my work, and then took them home the next morning. So I wanted to share that, not because of being again Pride Month and everything. It's just I wanted to share it because I had once questioned it. That's the only reason why I shared it. So that's why I'm saying, please don't be offended. I'm not putting, I have nothing against, that, that population. I mean, everybody chooses who they want to be and how they want to be. And there's nothing really you can do to say, no, you can't do this. This is not right. I mean, this is the person's choice. Like I said about, my friend that I grew up with that lived by me, explained to me now that he's gay. And, like I said, I had to accept it because I grew up with this person. I'm not going to turn around and say, all right, you're gay, bye. That's not right. And if anybody ever treats somebody like that, then they're not worth a minute with. So again, if anybody feels like I offended, I am sorry right off the bat.
No, I think you're being I think you're being cool. I think it's really great that you were comfortable exploring, and I think it is healthy for people to remember that stuff like orientation doesn't need to be some like static, solid, concrete box you're
Right.
like in for your whole life. Like stuff can change and evolve, and you can like discover new aspects of yourself that might have been there before. Maybe they're new, maybe they're growing now. And yeah, like it's all cool for things to change and people to explore like that. And I think it is good and I think people are starting to understand a bit more of this now. It's slow as progress tends to be, but I think even people who like eventually decide that or realize that they are, cisgender heterosexuals, like it's still good for them to, maybe think about that. That doesn't have to be a default. You can say, you can look inside yourself and decide, okay, I'm this, I'm the gender I was assigned at birth, I am, like standard, straight person or whatever, and that's all cool. But I think it is, all introspection can be helpful on some level. So I think having that sort of ability to, look inside yourself and actually see what's there is something people should be comfortable with doing. And I think we are starting to see more of that, and I'm very glad to see that.
Yeah, and the other thing that it took a little bit of time for me to realize was within my own family. When I graduated high school back in the Stone Ages, 36 years ago. Matter of fact, it'll be 36 years in 2 weeks. Wow. I had a high school graduation party, and I'm minding my own business and everything, and trying to enjoy graduating celebrating graduating high school and everything. And one of my classmates came up to me and says, your sister's a lesbian? I said, what? I was kind of like shocked. She's explained it. She's a lesbian. And I'm 18 years old, and I never realized this. I mean, I realized she always had, female friends coming over, but I'm thinking, they're just female friends. I'm not thinking, oh, they're all lesbian. Because 1989, lesbian was barely out there. It was kind of new in my case. But when I, like I said, when, in reference to like my friend, I mean, I actually turned around later on and said, explain this to me, and then she explained it, and I was like, okay, so that's why this is happening. This is why you're with this person and this person and this person, and all these relationships you had. Matter of fact, she just went, and I definitely know she doesn't watch these podcasts, because if she did, she would be on the phone via my mother cursing me out for it.
Have them on the podcast.
Yeah, but when she explained it, I was learning. Like it was a learning experience to me. Hence, like I said, in reference to now with my friend being, realizing that he is actually gay, and piecing everything together, I'm like, okay, so you have to accept it, because they had accepted you for who you were back then. Of course, one being my sister and the other one being my, someone I grew up with. But like I said, it came to a shocking surprise, and especially 18 years into my life, and like I said, back then, being new to me, really still starting to come out, just like AIDS and all these other how can I say it? Other connections to the population. Now, I will say, and I can say I'm proud that I actually share my birthday with Sir Elton John himself.
Woo!
Which is March 25th. So, when I mention, my birthday, I always throw Elton John out, because yes, I do listen to him. I do have his music on my Spotify, so I do, I that just because he came out as gay doesn't mean that he's not a great musician.
Was he ever in? I didn't realize he came out. I thought he was just kind of always out.
Well, no, I mean, it took time to make, I think by in the 90s when AIDS was coming out and being explained is kind of when it came to be with him. That's when the realization came in. But back then, I mean, you kept it hidden because he's a legend. He was he rocked out the 70s, but you couldn't. I mean, you could have questioned what he wore back then with being gay, but I'm just thinking, this is what he wears when he does concerts, and now he's just a regular dressed guy like you and me. So
I'm regular dressed.
Well, to each their own version of. Okay, okay, to each their own version of. But what I'm saying is, you just because they're dressed with ruffles and huge glasses and funny hats, and even to the point where they're wearing Caribbean, the fruits, like a Carmen, flamenco dancer type,
Miranda, yeah,
Miranda. There you go. Thank you. So, explain what is actually going on. I'm seeing that you're being prepped. I guess you're doing a concert tonight.
Kind of going to an art gallery show, and my eyebrows need to be like divvied up a bit. They were little, pale. We need to get the color popping again.
Okay. No, it's just like when he
and by the end of the podcast, that'll be beautiful. So
yeah,
your viewers will go away seeing the last shot of me having blue eyebrows.
Yes. So explain about how you got to being a glam rock singer and the dabbling with the acting and the modeling and the poet.
So as I said, performing has always been like a fixation of mine. It's something that's always like ever since I think the first time I got sent to like theater camp was when I was like probably 4 or 5 years old. Mm-hmm. And like just as soon as I got on stage for the first time, I was like, yeah, this is where I belong. Mm-hmm. And it's a mix of like dancing and like singing and like, acting and stuff. So I'm like, yeah, all these things are fun to me. And the other thing, I guess I developed this a bit later, probably around when I was like 7, 8, 9 area. I realized I really loved writing. Mm-hmm. And so eventually I got into writing poetry. And then all my friends in like middle school and high school started bands, and they knew I wrote like awesome stuff. So they're like, hey, you should come and join our band and like be our lyricist. I'm like, yeah, awesome. And can I sing my lyrics? And they're like, no, we hate your voice. But you have a drum kit, don't you? You can probably keep a beat. Like you're not a good drummer, but you can keep a beat. That's all right. Just punk rock your way through it. And so I did that. And like every chance I'd get, I'd be like, hey, but what if I sang though? And they're like, no, don't do that. And so we went on like that for a while, and then all these like high school guys were actually amazing musicians, but there's a difference between like being great at an instrument and having what it takes to like write songs and like go like play shows and like all the stuff like beyond that even that it takes to like actually make a band, let alone a successful one. So I'm like, okay, these guys are my friends, but like they're not the guys I should shackle my artistic aspirations to. Right. I need to either audition for a band or start my own band. And I very quickly realized there's no way I'm gonna like cut it auditioning for anyone. Like regardless of what instrument I'm doing. I'm not like you can't audition with lyrics. Like no band really like is having those auditions. So I'm like, okay, I have to start my own band, I guess. And since I'm starting my own band, no one's around to tell me not to sing. So I'm just gonna sing. And through sheer dedication and willpower and stubbornness, I just got good at singing. That was it. And I've always been a very like flamboyant person. So I didn't just want to make, a band that sounded good. I want to make a band that sounded good, looked good, felt good, smelled good. Like we want to like satisfy as many senses as possible. Because anyone can like stay at home and listen to an awesome music on Spotify or whatever, YouTube. But if you're like going to pay money and get in your car or transit or whatever, get in your bike, walk, whatever, to get to a show, like you deserve like a full-on cinematic, majestic experience. You should feel like you're in a freaking like epic, and that's the experience we want to bring. And so that's what glam rock is to me. So that's why glam rock is like got to be where I am.
Okay. Now, in reference to the acting and modeling, what did you actually do?
It's mostly like bit stuff here and there, like occasional like campaigns for like various advertising stuff. I've been on a few like reality shows, bit parts and things. It's not like I can't like to be totally honest, like I only have like the bandwidth to like fully dedicate my entire soul to pursuing like one thing at a time. And so for me, it's my band. And I have friends who are like that with acting and like chasing down jobs like every single day the way I'm chasing down gigs from my band and stuff like that.
Right.
And yeah, I'm not in the world. I just have an agent and like she'll send me stuff that drives for me and I'll do it like when I have time. Like whenever like people give me like people say, okay, show up to set, like do your thing. Like I give it my all. But I don't give the behind the scenes part of it my all. I don't give the seeking out auditions and opportunities and like driving to freaking like this like the outskirts of the city and staying there for like 12 hours all night and getting paid like $50. I know people who do like that to build up their resume, and that's what I do with my music. Like I played so many like bar shows that like pay us nothing. Like the first few shows when I was like first starting out, they charged us to play, and I didn't know better, so I'm like, okay, I guess so. And there are people who do the kind of thing with acting, and I love acting, but I don't love it enough to do it like that. I'm like, if someone gives me an opportunity, I'll like rock the hell out of it, and people will be glad to cast me. Right. But I'm not going to do that grind like those people. I'm doing my own grind in music, and that's tough enough. I'm not doing two of those at the same time.
Okay. All right. So this podcast has a number one fan, number one supporter, and she's a real life superhero. And being that it's Pride Month, there's another thing about her. Her name is American Fox, and she is bisexual as well.
Awesome.
So the question she had for you that was sent to you last night is, what is your actual neurodivergent? ADHD, autism, dyslexia, what exactly?
So I guess the most prominent one to most people, at least like at this point in my life, would be autism, which I was diagnosed pretty early on in my life, along with anxiety, probably when I was about like, I want to say 3. And shortly after that, I was also diagnosed with OCD. And there were a few periods of my life when that was the most obvious thing about me. Specifically in middle school, that was a really big deal, and led to a lot of like strife around that time, which I eventually worked through with a lot of support. And a lot of people have tried to diagnose me with ADHD, and I'm inclined to believe them, but I've never had like that like informal like writing. So yeah, I'd say if I had to pick one as my primary, I'd say autism.
Okay. All right. So that was the only question I have that we have at this time. So if anyone is interested in being a real friend to American Fox, you can follow her on X at American Fox 4 and on Instagram threads at American Fox 12018. And she loves chatting about superheroines with you. So definitely worth checking out. And
that's awesome. Two of my band's songs are actually about superheroines.
Yeah,
Thunderless and Fistigons were inspired by some team books, which
you know what, James, email them to me so I can send them to her.
Okay.
Yeah, because give her something to listen to. Yeah, like I said, she is a bisexual superheroine. She's a great support, and she makes a great friend.
I'll add it right now. Yeah.
Yeah. So and if you wanted to reach out to her even more, I mean, just let me know. Well, now, be happy to, where you can reach out to her. I mean, actually, if you go on X or if you go on Instagram and onto her bio page, it'll tell you where to actually reach out. So that's definitely one thing to check out. Now, in reference to Jaymes, and let me put this up before I forget. This is how we can reach him through the link tree via How to Apollo. So tell me very quickly about how about How to Apollo.
I guess in short, we're the sparkliest rock band in the galaxy. Louder than thunder, shining like lightning. That's our vibe. We brought fun in your ears and your eyes.
Okay.
We actually have a bunch of cool music videos. If you want get the full audiovisual experience right off the bat. Those two I just mentioned, Fistigons and Thunderlust. Yes. One of them has the dinosaur, and that's the video I'm proudest of. But we have a bunch.
Okay. Like I said, send them to me, and I can send them to American Fox if they're reference to superheroines, because it would be something she would enjoy. Yeah. But definitely. So you can reach out to Jaymes on linktr.ee/How to Apollo, and definitely check out the music. I'm going to suggest there is a band I had on this podcast about 2-3 years ago. And I was friends with the lead singer and the merchandise person. It's actually on the YouTube channel in the live section. And the band name is called Sepsis.
Sepsis.
Yeah. And they rock. I mean, I'm not saying, I didn't get a chance to hear your music or anything. So, but if you watch that podcast that I did, I actually did it when I was in Atlantic City when I did that. But, I played their music. And like I said, if I would have had some of your music, I would have, played it, for everybody so they can hear, how great your music is,
Awesome.
So I do apologize for that. Yeah, I should have asked her that, or you could have even, like I said, you could have said, Joey, can we play one of my songs? Because I would have been open to it, and if you do decide to come back on the podcast, please,
I'd love to. Yeah, that's a good plan.
Because I would be happy, because I like to promote my guests the best I can, just like I promote American Fox, because American Fox has really been there for me. And, things are kind of see, I'm into smooth jazz. So I'm kind of really, but it doesn't mean I don't listen to, rock like Sepsis or, the type of music you maybe, that you perform. I mean, I don't, glam rock. I mean, I listen to alternatives like Garbage, and of course, Howard Jones and the Clash and the Cure, and all that. So I mean, especially there is one song. Actually, there's two that I will play. So I can't say so. I mean, I play a lot of smooth jazz more, but in the mix that I have the song Stand or Fall. But when Spotify got a hold of it, the original version was on, and I love the original version. But when they modified it, I'm going to pull it up real quick. Give me a minute. I got to pull this up because it's by The Fix.
Solid band.
Yeah. So, give me one moment. Oh, I can't because my Spotify fell through. Oops, sorry.
I'm not getting from what I heard.
Yeah. No, what happened? What happened was, unfortunately, because I've been unemployed, I fell behind on my Spotify plan, so now it doesn't let me repeat. But the version that they did, that they made it more acoustic, and I was like, ugh. I just could not believe, how much it changed the song. But the other song that I love so much is by NXS.
Yeah.
And the actual, let me pull up my. Oh, there we go. Okay. It's like I said, I have The Fix. I have The Police. I
love The Police. I saw them live a few years ago.
I had The Dream Factory. I have Kate Bush running up the hill.
Yeah.
Yes.
Big hit.
Yeah. And Republica, Ready to Go.
Yo, I've never heard anyone else talk about Republica. I love them.
Yes. The first time I heard it, I was like, okay, this is actually upbeat. And it was really interesting. But yes, I do have Republica on my Spotify, folks. Ready to Go. It's worth the music. Okay. Like I said, it's mixed in with smooth jazz. It's mixed in with the Go-Go's. It's mixed in with Gary Newman's Cars.
I don't know if you know this about the Go-Go's, but they got the beat.
Yeah. Yeah.
In fact,
they got the beat.
They got the beat.
But I also have Head Over Heels.
Ooh.
That's a good song.
I should listen to more of their stuff.
Yeah.
I have like one album by them and I love it. But
yeah. And then I also have the classic rock, Jethro Tull. And I will say that I actually got to see Ian Anderson live with a new version of Jethro Tull in Atlantic City. Oh God, it must be about 5 years ago. I got free tickets to go see it.
Wow.
But you could not take a picture of him.
He's a vampire.
Yeah. Because it literally, if you attempted to take a picture during that concert, security was on your ass right there and then. To the point where they almost threw me out.
Wow.
Yeah. But also, this one might throw you through a loop. In reference to alternative music. I also have Red Rider.
Huh. Wait, I think I know one song by them. Did they
Lunatic
have a heavy metal soundtrack?
I know you're out there. Let's see if I can pull it.
I feel like I recognize the name, but like I can't with confidence name a song by them.
The song was called Lunatic Fringe.
Oh! Yo, okay, when I was a kid, I used to fall asleep to like the classic rock radio station all the time, and they would play that a lot.
Yeah.
Are they Canadian? I think.
I don't think they were offhand. Okay. I really don't know.
I do know that song. Yeah, right. It was like I'd fall asleep listening to it sometimes, and it's very eerie.
Yeah, but in reference to NXS, the one song that I have that I really enjoy is called The One Thing. That's the NXS song I can't live without. It's just that really good, but unfortunately I can't, like I said, in reference to my Spotify, I can't play it. And believe me, I wanted to. But the next time that you decide you want to come on, you let me know and we'll play your music. I'd be happy to help promote you.
What? That's we in August, I believe. I didn't talk to my manager, but I'm pretty sure it's August. We are releasing the first single from our forthcoming third album So, which will probably come out a few months after that. So, like, if you want to have us anytime, like late 2025, we can we can play some cuts from the new album and like talk about like whatever. I'm totally up for that.
Okay.
And in the meantime, our other stuff is already on
Spotify. I'm going to say it right now in front of my audience. I opened up Wednesdays in August. Reach out to me on any Wednesday in August, and it's yours. And reach out right away before someone takes it. Because I will be, if the album is done, and you want to leak, quote unquote, leak it, let's do it.
All right.
Okay? All right. Because I'm kind of curious of wanting to hear it myself. Like I said, when the first time I heard Sepsis, I was like, I was literally blown out of the water. And I think I can pull.
Yeah, you can just like look for Hot Apollo on like any streaming site, and also if you want to tell me what you think about it, like any you listen out there, any social media, just look for HOTAPOLLO, Hot Apollo, and that's how to reach me. And tell me what you think about the music, man. I'm always open to any sort of thoughts on that or anything else.
Mm-hmm. Matt, let me see if I can pull it up real quick. Heavy metal. Here we go. I had to deal with the commercial in a minute. So bear with me, folks. This is what happens when you don't pay the bill. You're on the free plan.
Spotify is a whole other world.
Yeah. All right, come on.
Enjoy the next 30 minutes of uninterrupted listening.
That's all I have is about 30 minutes of it.
Awesome.
Oh, here we go. Here's Garbage. I'm only going to play a snippet of it because I want to get to Sepsis. So. Now if this makeup person comes in and starts dancing, all hell's broken loose. I still try to figure out how I really got into this. But this song just was interesting.
Yeah. Really cool voice too.
Yeah. All right. Let me get. Oh, this is not going to play my. Wait a minute. There it is. This is
that drum came in like a minute. Cool vocal harmonies.
I don't wanna die. I knew this was the last night. Supernatural.
Okay. So yeah, the song was almost over anyway. So here is the website for you if you want to write it down. That's the band itself. Definitely, if you want to reach out, they're out in the New England area. So like Massachusetts in the States. So if you decide you're going to come to the States to perform, that's a band to hook up with.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, it's sepsis.com, and it's sepsis with 2 S's at the end.
All right, I'll give them a shout.
All right. So definitely, like I said, I would love to have you back on in August to promote your new album, your new CD, and the new album coming out. Like I said, reach out to me right away. As we're going, what kind of advice would you give to someone who, and being, again, that this is Pride Month, who really want to find out who they are?
I'd say, it's good to like look inside yourself. If you can do it safely, like, maybe explore the community, like get to know people, get to like kind of, I don't know. I mean, even if you're not like queer or anything, like I have like some straight friends who would come with me to like parties in the queer scene sometimes, and they have a great time too. Like it is like a very inviting, like fun, like vibrant community, especially if you're like bored with like the mainstream clubs. Like going to a gay club is like it's awesome. It's a really fun time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd say like kind of like it's always good to like explore different parts of yourself and the world. And if that leads to new discoveries about yourself and your gender or orientation or any of that, like awesome. If it doesn't, still awesome. And yeah, and at the very least, you will have come away like learn a few things about different parts of your community and different parts of yourself, and that's always great.
Okay. All right. Well, Jaymes, thank you so much for your time and coming on the podcast. And like I said, you're welcome to come back when you're ready to promote that new single, and CD, etc. Like I explained it right in front of everybody. Pick a Wednesday in August. Let's make it happen, because I'll be happy to play your music. Just send me what you want me to play, and I'll hopefully I'll be able to pull it up, the right way, quote unquote. Or if I have to pull it up through YouTube, I'll pull it up through YouTube, whatever way possible. All right. But
yes.
Thank you so much, Jaymes, for coming on the podcast. And thank your makeup artist for popping in off and on.
Thank you, Toby.
Yeah, because he was jumping at the door behind you and all that. And like I said, when I was playing Garbage and Sepsis, you heard me say if his makeup artist came in and started dancing, all hell broke loose. But definitely.
I mean, if I asked him, he would.
Oh yeah. But thank you again, Jaymes, for coming on. Like I said, hopefully we'll have you back on soon so we can promote your new music.
All right. Looking forward to it.
All right. And thank you, everybody, for watching the live stream of the Life with Joey Calvo podcast. God bless you all. Take care.